the first of our Hash It Out webinar series, where we're going to be interviewing different people across the industry about social customer service every month and possibly even more frequently than that. For this first one, I'm joined by David from JackThreads. Hi, David. You've been waving in the background there. And I'm going to give a quick introduction just to social customer service and what we do and some of the trends we're doing. And then we're going to hand over to David, who's going to run through some of how they do it at JackThreads and some of the lessons they've learned. And then we're going to have a general Q&A and answer different questions and a bit of a fireside chat. Now, if you want to ask any questions at any time, you can tweet us at Conversocial, or you can just use the hashtag #HashItOut, just the name of it, all one word together. And we'll be monitoring that in real time and getting questions throughout the whole show. I'll remind you of that before I finish. So I'm going to get started. We started Conversocial about 3 years ago, towards the end of 2009, and we launched towards the end of 2010. And at the time, social customer service wasn't really a thing. Social was all about marketing, all about publishing content. And there are very few companies really taking social customer service seriously. Fast forward 3 years, and things have changed dramatically. Almost everyone, every company we speak to now realizes that social customer service is an essential part of how they manage their social channels. Just on the screen here, Nielsen just released some great stats where they found that half of everyone they surveyed in the past 12 months have used social in some way to contact a company over Facebook or Twitter, which is actually a massive increase just from how American Express, when they did a study over 2011-2012, they found that about 20%. This graph actually shows one of our retail customers, major retailer, who a year and a half ago, when we first started working with them, we were getting about 10,000 messages a month on Facebook and Twitter. Fast forward to now, and they're getting 100 to 150,000 every single month. So it's increasing dramatically. And as David's going to share later on JackThreads, they're seeing growth of about 5% every single week in how many social interactions they're getting. So it's very much real now, and it's very much here, and people realize that it's something that they've got to do. But as well as the fact that customers are increasingly using social as a customer service channel, they're also using it with much higher expectations of the level of service and the speed of service than they do in other channels. This comes from a study that we did with New York University, where we found a third of Twitter users would expect a company to respond to them in under half an hour. That's extremely fast compared to how many companies have handled traditional email customer service, for example. And so people have very high expectations, not only of that you will respond, but you will respond quickly. And this is a big challenge for companies, because this isn't private customer service, this is completely in public. I'd say in social, everyone can hear you scream. If you don't respond to this, not only are you upsetting a customer who's reaching out to try and get help, but you're doing so in a very public space. This next stat, also done what was a New York University research that we were involved in. There was a consumer survey, and they found that almost 90% of people said that they'd be less likely to buy from a company if they saw that they were ignoring their customers on a Facebook page or on social media accounts. There's another stat, also from American Express, where they found that 83% of people at some point, of social media users in particular, had abandoned a purchase after experiencing poor customer service. They're massively important for retailers, losing that basket. And increasingly, what social media makes it so easy and convenient to ask questions and complain, whether it's tweeting whilst they're in store, or they're tweeting whilst they're shopping online, or writing on a Facebook page. It's a massive opportunity if you can respond quickly to avoid losing that sale. And along that as well, another recent study by Gallup found that customers who are fully engaged with you as a brand, who are positively engaged, are actually worth 23% more in terms of revenue in terms of profitability than the average customer. This was what's behind the entire Zappos mentality, that by having as many positive engagements with their customer as possible, they can actually increase their lifetime value. And social media is obviously one of gives some of the biggest opportunities possible to make this happen. So it's a huge opportunity for companies to make a massive difference. And so I've actually cut my slides down slightly, David, from what you've seen. But we're really seeing a shift in thinking where the meaning of engagement in social is moving from simple kind of likes and shares, what it's traditionally meant, especially from a marketing perspective, but it's moving towards really meaning conversations that companies are having with their customers. And service is a fundamental part of that. And we're seeing the rise of this new team that's kind of cross-functional, sitting across customer service, marketing, getting involved in proactive engagement, in product feedback. We're kind of calling the social engagement hub that's responsible for having these one-on-one conversations with their customers at a massive scale over social channels. From Conversocial's perspective, where we come in, we saw that the traditional social tools that were very focused on monitoring or marketing didn't really understand customer service or how to manage massive, large-scale conversations with their customers in terms of performance management, workflow, etc. And at the same time, the established customer service vendors and CRM players didn't really understand how a public conversation on Twitter was different from a private email transaction, for example. Which is why we saw there as a massive opportunity and why we focus on helping companies deliver customer service through social media channels. If you want to learn any more about us, you can check out our website, conversocial.com, and you can tweet me or get in touch. But I didn't want to speak too long today, and I wanted to hand over to David and give him the chance to talk about how they do social customer service at JackThreads, and then we can get involved and have a conversation about it. So thanks very much, David, for joining us, and I'm going to hand over you to talk through your slides now.
Again, thanks. I'm glad to give you guys a little window into what we're doing down here at JackThreads. Conversocial has been able to help us make some really big strides in maintaining the social presence that we have. So to give you a little background on who we are, in case you haven't shopped with us yet, JackThreads does men's-only fashion. We're an e-tailer with about well over 2 million members around the world now, mostly in the United States. We also ship out of Canada, the UK, and Australia as of the past month. We specialize in discounting contemporary menswear, streetwear, surfwear. We've also started developing our own private labels and advertising them over social media as well. Our experience on social was extraordinarily important to us. But as Josh said, at first it was mostly a marketing experience. It was us making sure that our brand was present on Twitter, Facebook, particularly through referral links that you may have seen your friends send these around if you've heard of us before. If you get a friend to sign up, you get $10 for your next order, that sort of thing. So we were able to get a pretty broad grassroots presence on Twitter without investing much in marketing. In doing so, we built a really tremendous following on social media for a company of our size, considering we only target a very small group of men, and we only target men. We're pretty happy having a following on Facebook of over 300,000 and over 40,000 on Twitter. But because we had such an active presence from our marketing department, it became very important to us as customer service started to branch out into these experiences to maintain the voice and branding and the character of JackThreads that we had developed that had been so successful over time. Just to give you an idea of some of the growth that we have had since I've joined the company, and since we started making more strides into social customer service, we've seen a 366% growth in new members year over year. That's been a tremendous amount of growth for us here in customer service, of course, because when there are more customers, there are more conversations. When I first joined the company, it was me and a couple of guys answering emails. We only had an 800 number for about a year now. And yet we've scaled up now to the point where we are aggressively pursuing proactive social customer service because we need to in order to stay ahead of the curve and continue to meet our customers where they are. And that's where the second point on this slide comes in. 45% of our revenue now comes from mobile, from our iPhone and Android apps, and from the iPad app that we're developing as well. We are now a mobile company. We've always been a very social company, but now we need to make sure that we're reaching our customers who are shopping off of their mobile devices anywhere, whether they're on the train or at work. We need to find a way to communicate with them. And traditional channels, we found, that's not where they're hanging out. They're not hanging out on email. They don't want to call us when they're at work. They want to find a way to interact with us where they already live. And our customers live on social. 10% of our total CS volume right now, that's all of our customer service interactions, just comes from social media, just from Facebook and Twitter. The rest of it is phones, emails, live chat. Honestly, guys, we haven't even posted our Out JackThreads help Twitter handle on our customer service page yet. We haven't started to proactively drive this volume yet. This is just what's already happening. So we've seen a tremendous amount of potential in involving our social audience in customer service. And over time, we found that we were going to need more help than the system we had put in place. It all happened kind of organically for us, and I think there's a similar story in every customer service department around the country and around the industry. One day, somebody on the team said, "Hey guys, by the way, people are running into Facebook now, and they're asking questions that we need to handle, and we need to find a way to do that." For us, the one-offs that would happen when customers who first started to use this, our marketing director would reach out to me and say, "David, can you reach out to this guy and just give him a call, let him know what's up?" We'd take care of it. That evolved to customer service having a front-facing presence on social media. So we do now have a team in place, a growing team of agents who interact with our customers directly on social media, cutting out the middleman, so nobody's passing on requests to us from another department. That does a lot of things for us, particularly with our department. Conversocial made sense to us because we already had this presence, we were already actively trying to pursue it, and we discovered that using this tool, we were able to be 7 to 10 times more effective. To give you some clarity behind that stat, our agents, compared to when they were working natively on social to where they're working now, are able to handle 7 to 10 times more interactions per hour than they were before. So we're able to handle more volume than we were before without adding any additional hours. Obviously, as Josh pointed out, we are seeing an increase in that volume at 5% a week. So as our presence increases, our customers are becoming more conditioned to the idea that, hey, they're here for us. I'm going to talk to them on social now. And as that happens, our team is going to keep scaling up. And that's what we see is happening across the industry. So having a tool in place like this that can give you the view that you see in this slide of what our agent sees. The key for us, the reason I think we see that efficiency is because it breaks it down into a useful workflow. In fact, the proactive search tool on Conversocial has helped drive most of our volume. I don't have an exact percentage right now, but it's the piece that we're most excited about, the opportunity to jump into those customers who are kind of calling out of the wilderness about their issue, talking to friends. That's where we really see circumstances where customers are delighted by what we're doing. Not only in terms of service, typical traditional service issues like where's my order, when will it ship, can I return this, that sort of thing, but other issues as well, including a focus on style and product. That's something that our department is already built to do. Some of you may have already used Chat with Jill, which we launched last year. It is a tool that we use to help customers put together outfits, give them style advice. It grew organically out of a need that we saw from our customers when they chatted in to use our live support system. Over and over again, we had agents chatting in, getting, say, Andrew or Blake, and saying, "Can I talk to Tracy instead? Is Tracy there? Is she at work today?" And over time, we looked over these chats and realized this is all style stuff. This is all guys reaching out to our female associates looking for style advice. So we trained a team, built a product, put it in place on the site, and now we have a tool in place that customers can use to build their order in the same way that they would go into a boutique and have a personal shopping assistant. We've seen a 14 to 15 times higher conversion rate for this tool than any of our other channels. To kind of break that down a little bit, when I talk about conversion, I mean the customer complete the sale. So we're looking at customers who are already coming to make a purchase, probably going to make one. Did we help them convert that order? And 14 to 15 times more of those customers do that if we engage them directly about style and about product instead of waiting for them to come to us. So we already had a kind of proactive style tool in place, and it seemed only natural to start bringing a little bit of that practice into what we were doing in Conversocial. So we have a couple of examples here, including the one that I've got up. It should give you a couple of insights into what we do. One, that we like to provide style advice, provide product suggestions. But the more I look around the industry and what everybody else in e-tailing is doing on social, we're making a very concerted effort to stay true to the original brand and character that you see in our marketing work as well. We do have a separate @JackThreads help handle, but our agents work through both. So the same character and experience and delight that customers get with interacting with the front-facing main part of the brand is also happening within customer service. So with this particular tweet, the first one we intercepted was through proactive search. As you can see on that slide, the first mention of our name at the bottom of that interaction is not have the @ JackThreads would be nice if they had anything in my size. Talking to @bgalvin there, one of their friends, complaining that they can't find anything on the site. We immediately are able to shoot back, goo, what size you're looking for. Brand appropriate, our agents are trained in our brand voice and how to speak from that voice authentically as we can. So we're able to get from the customer that are looking for a small and everything, shoot back a link customized for them that includes all small goods from a certain sale. The customer then sends out another tweet to their entire following, shout out to @JackThreads for actually listening to their customers. So we're taking one customer complaining to another about perceived lack of selection, and we've converted that into a potential sale, into customer advocacy, into somebody getting out there and going to bat for us, which is great. And I look at this and I say it's likely that that guy made a sale. We have even stronger evidence as we move forward that we do see customers making sales because we're actually walking them through the process of making a purchase, which you can see here in this particular example. Customer tweeting about a product, sharing it with their friends. We are able to intercept that conversation and just sort of generally reach out. A lot of them start like this, with us just being playful and encouraging, telling them to get them, gotta cop that, better hurry up, they're going on sale fast, you're gonna rock it this weekend. You'll see all kinds of tweets like that sending out to us customers because we're able to do this efficiently now. We're able to just kind of crank these out with a team that is able to speak from our voice authentically. The customer then says they're waiting for payday. We ask what size they are. They let us know. We're able to tell them that we only have 2 in stock. Now that's really the piece where a customer service agent comes into play. A marketing employee isn't necessarily going to live in inventory the same way that we do. They aren't going to live in our systems and the way we cancel orders, combine orders, return things. We live in this space every day. Customer service agents see interactions like this every day, dozens and dozens of them. So they know exactly how to handle it quickly. They jump into inventory, they see that we only have 2 left, they let the customer know, customer places the sale today. Now, this gives you a very granular, ground level look at it, right? But we are looking closely, big picture-wise, at conversion and how we're able to keep driving conversion through social. That's part of the conversation that we're going to have moving forward. How can our tech team work together with Conversocial to provide us with more data so we can decide how much more we want to continue to invest in this tool? Right now, the return on investment that we're seeing here is in terms of efficiency, right? We already want to have a presence on social. As Josh established earlier, there is a clear need for us to be on social. It's a question of how fast can we work, and then what can we do with the rest of that time? So more and more of our agents are able to work on stretch assignments, spend time on other activities throughout the office, other necessary work activities, I should say. As a small and growing team, we have to wear a lot of hats. And in order for us to continue to grow, we want to offer more stretch assignments to our associates. So if they're able to work more efficiently, they're able to take on more responsibility. This also gives us a way to interact with customers that's delightful, fun for them, fun for the associates, so that it serves as a stretch assignment and possibly down the line a way for more tenured, more senior, high-performing associates to move upward throughout the company and demonstrate their skills and their ability to provide this kind of front-facing representation in public for what they do for the business. So we're very excited about what we've been able to do so far. We're confident that we can move forward and continue to pursue this momentum. Interested in hearing what everybody out there in the world has to say about it and what kind of questions we have.
Cool. Thanks a lot, David. Just a quick listening in that you can comment social, or you can just use the hashtag and we're going to be monitoring all of those, and you can get them in. We've already got quite a few in here. There was a couple of questions that came in, David, just around tone of voice. That you guys have obviously got a very unique and quite characteristic tone of voice, and that you work hard to kind of get that across in 140 characters. How do you train that? How do you maintain that or enforce it? Is that difficult? It would be great to just understand a little bit more about that. And also how you make sure, this is another question, but it's related, how you make sure you always stay fresh and you're not just repeating the same things over and over again.
Yeah, that's all excellent questions, and certainly the question we're asking ourselves right now, right? Like, how can we best and most efficiently train something that is essentially creative, which you don't always see in customer service, but it's something that we already do on phone calls, on chats, on email. We already talk a lot about brand voice around here, so it's sort of ingrained into us already. But in a public-facing situation like that, obviously a lot more intense, and the stakes are higher. So, we have our own training techniques that kind of have grown organically out of our own brand and our own history as a company. What's really important to us is making sure that there's kind of a nesting period for the associate where we give them lots of opportunities to practice over and over again, working within the brand voice. They're able to do that in their regular interactions anyway, phone, email, chat. So part of this is choosing the people who already kind of speak from the brand voice. We look for them when we hire, and we look for them when we have people on the team. People who say, like, man, they already just sound like the company. This guy's perfect. Even then, there still has to be a technique. It's not enough just to set somebody in front of a Twitter handle and say, go, have fun, do your thing. There needs to be a technique, expectation set in place. As long as you have that technique in place, I think you're ready to do what you need to do. Personally, what we use around here, it comes a lot from my background as a theater artist. I look at this as performing. I look at JackThreads as a character. So basically, we break down what's the motivation, what are the tactics, as an actor would breaking down a role, and how do you move forward with that? How do you turn that into action? Don't know if that insight helps, but it certainly has been what informed what we've done here, how we've trained on that. The important thing, I think, is that you have a technique when you start implementing this. If you want to maintain that voice, you need to make sure that you give your associates a technique to practice that will support their talent. And if you do that, you're starting a conversation within your company about why this tweet worked and maybe this one didn't. That isn't about you did a bad job. It's more like, no, well, here's the voice, here's the story we're trying to tell, and here's another way we can tell that story a little bit better or more fully. Here's another way you can pursue that objective or that action. Treating it like it is. It's a creative process, but one that you need to make sure you treat like a business in the same way that the best acting methods always did. So there was another question in there too about.
Yeah, it was just about how you stay fresh in terms of the messages that you're sending to customers publicly. How do you avoid always saying the same kind of things or looking like you're just kind of always using the same lingo, the same language, and the same tweets being repeated?
Yeah, exactly. The short answer is we steal like crazy from each other, from partners in the company, from our marketing team. We stay in close collaboration with them to make sure that we're all on the same page. If we're thinking about it in terms of performance, every character, every human being has their own dominant tactics, and so we lean on those a little bit. But it's extremely important for us to make sure that we're bringing a lot of variety in. The best way to do that is to have a variety of workable language and key phrases and tactics and ideas so that your well never runs dry. So that you don't feel like, well, I'm limited to these 2 or 3 phrases that David told me I can use. No, we want agents to be creative. We want them to invent their own hashtags that are brand appropriate. Because this is a very responsive type of work that we're doing, We're dealing with delighting the customer based on the content they've provided us. One of the reasons I think that we'll never run out of things to say and we'll always be fresh is because we're responding to the customer. As long as the customer continues to bring information to us and content to us, we can use that to delight them back, come back to them in some way. We spend a lot of time in here, not just on social, but also on phone, email, chat. Listen to the customer. You have to listen to what they're saying. You have to meet them where they are. Otherwise, we're never going to sound authentic, and authenticity is so huge on social. We listen to the customers. We make sure that we're being honest to where they are. We steal from them sometimes if they're using terminology and phrases and slang that me as, heading into my 30s, I'm like, I don't know what that means anymore. The most important thing to us is to be cool enough to meet them where they are, but never cooler than them. So a lot of people look at our tweets. I get a little bit of flack from some people in the office saying, "Why are you using so many emoticons?" So if you look through the JackThreads Twitter feed, you'll see a lot of emoticons happening. I know there's a lot of conversations going on about best practices. We found they work best for our brand simply because I'd rather have somebody think we're corny than not know how we feel. I would love for customers to walk away going, "Oh man, they used the smiley face. Look at that. That's crazy." Than for them to be confused about what our intentions were. So there's strength in that vulnerability to let yourself look a little bit maybe behind the times or behind the customer, so to speak. Because I would love for every customer to feel like they're cooler than us because they're awesome, and we're only awesome because they're awesome. So they deserve it.
And you're also very good at responding to customers when you do. You had another question. Are there any customers, or are there any tweets or comments that your agents are told not to respond to, and you definitely decide not to engage with, whether it's people, angry customers, or people trolling? Where do you draw the line?
That's a really good question. I know that as we've continued to grow, we've really taken that part of the best practices conversation pretty seriously, and a lot of what we see out there. It's probably a good model in general throughout the industry to follow. To ignore the trolls. Some people are just out there to start trouble and start conversations. That being said, we don't have a strict policy in place to not engage with those customers, because sometimes the most delightful conversations come out of those. If we know where to meet them, if we can identify how can we delight this customer, if they're here to have fun and they're here to get a laugh out of us, maybe we can help them out. Maybe we can come back at it. Maybe we can meet them where they are, match them, and surprise them by doing so. So we certainly don't have the only thing I'd say we truly avoid are any conversations that could become inflammatory or heightened in such a way that would reflect poorly on the brand. That comes along with monitoring the content on our Facebook page. It also involves, what posts are we responding to in Twitter. So for me, and for our team, it's less about, finding anybody. If somebody's speaking negatively about the brand, we want to turn their experience around. Even if they're just trolling, we want everyone to see that, no, we care. Like, whether this guy's being, guileless or he really means it or if he's just trying to get a rise out of us, we want to help him. We want him to know that we're here, and he may have concerns, and maybe he doesn't now, but if he ever does or anyone ever does, we're here to help. Intentions aside, we're just looking at the straight-up content. So the only time we're avoiding anything is if we look at somebody's language or certain social issues they're bringing up, and we say, let's not go down that road. We might not have the authority to adequately handle that situation. That's it, though. I mean, if somebody's bashing us, we're going to jump in and try to figure out what's going on, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or otherwise. And we're going to leave those conversations in public to maintain the integrity of that public forum. We don't want anybody to ever accuse us of trying to manage it ourselves. We want customers to feel like they have the ability to post whatever they want up there. I mean, if things are wrong and something's broken with the way our business is working, we are going to rely on our customers to be a part of that conversation, to let us know what they need. So that the integrity of that public forum is very special to us. We only remove or choose not to respond to something if, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, there's some kind of inflammatory potential there, but certainly not just because of negativity. We crave negativity. We are trained to respond to it and make something out of it. So the best stories come out of that, so don't let that go.
Thanks. You mentioned conversion tracking and how Ask Jill produces massive conversions compared to other channels. You had a question just asking how you're doing or looking at conversion tracking in social or from social.
Great. We don't have enough data yet to release any kind of numbers on conversion tracking within Social, but I can say this, that the leading contact point for us on social media is product info. That is not our leading contact point on the rest of our channels, even on live chat. Most of our work on service is dealing with order modifications, address changes. We occasionally get the product detail question, and it occasionally comes through live chat because we're trying to drive that. My inclination based on that data, knowing that we're driving, I'd say when we look at the statistics of what percentage does a certain contact point make up within our overall volume, the percentage of product detail conversations on social is more than twice what it is in our regular channels. So we're having a lot more conversations about product. That tells me that we probably have a higher conversion rate. We've had Conversocial on board for, was it just like about 2 months, I think, something around that. So as we continue to accumulate more data, we'll have more confidence in exactly what that conversion rate is. But I have a feeling that it's going to be very strong, simply based on the fact that when we're able to track the nature of each conversation, which we are in Conversocial, I can tag something as being belonging to a certain category of interaction. It's overwhelming the number of product questions that we're having. Again, something I think that separates our experience as an e-tailer and working in fashion from other businesses on social, and one of the reasons why we've been forced to stay ahead of the curve on this, because our customers aren't used to coming to an online brand for fashion advice. They're used to going to their friends, but we can find them now when they're talking about us, when they're talking about the brands that we have on the site. We can find those interactions and bring ourselves to that conversation to help drive conversion and honestly help them find what they're looking for. Make it much easier for them to spend their money looking as fresh as they possibly can for as less as they can.
And you obviously get 10% of your contact center inquiries are social, which is a big number, and growing massively. Do you think that's because of the demographics of your customers? Do you think it's just that you're a more recent startup, that it's the mobile, the heaviness of how many of your customers are buying from mobile? What do you think is the kind of primary driver of that growth in social over other customer service channels?
Yes, all of that. You know, the demographics are obviously a huge part of it, right? We're targeting an age range that is the social generation, that is the generational force behind changing how we communicate, not just on customer service, but in everything. How we talk to our families, how we talk to our governments, how we talk to other countries. They're developing a whole new language and culture around that. So I think that's certainly a big part of it. The mobile shift is also huge too. I mean, we have not seen that significant a spike in our phone calls, even though customers are shopping from their phone. They'd rather use their phone like they always have used their phone. If they're app users, they want to use another app. They want to use Twitter. They want to use Facebook. So they're living there. So as those habits change, we're seeing that move as well. I think that our efforts to reach out to customers on social may also be a part of it, that as soon as they become conditioned to check our Facebook page, like you said earlier, Josh, customers are now checking this public-facing content to see, are they responding to customers on Facebook? Can I trust them? Once they see that we do, maybe they're more inclined to reach out to us that way. But I don't think that should indicate to anybody that only this demographic is going to see this shift, or it's only going to happen as long as mobile exists. I think that as long as these social media platforms continue to impact the way we communicate the way they do, and it looks like they are, all of our customers are going to go tell their parents, why don't you just go to these brands on Facebook? Why don't you just go to these brands on Twitter? I do that with my companies all the time, and they get back to me. So I think the word's getting out, and we feel very, very, very fortunate that our partnership with Conversocial happened around the same time as this big mobile shift.
Thanks. A few more questions. One, Ellen Bussey. She asked what benefits are there in using Conversocial over Hootsuite or Nimble. I can say from our perspective, Conversocial is one of the only tools that's extremely focused on social customer service, and that's reflected around things like our prioritization engine to try and help identify customer service issues and allow you to respond to them quicker. Our workflow designed to help customer service teams, and also analytics, very focused around things like performance management, SLA performance, customer insight, etc. David, if you have anything else to add, you can.
We actually still use, maybe not in our department necessarily, but a lot of our companies still uses Hootsuite as a way of getting a kind of overall view. Like, what does the view look like on Twitter right now? What if I just get a snapshot of what certain topics we're searching for, that sort of thing? It's a really good big picture. Like, what does the ocean of Twitter look like? And that is actually what we used to use in customer service. I certainly don't mind sharing that at all. The way Conversocial benefited us was that we were no longer having to sift through that large granular view, well, not granular, but that big picture view to seek out the ones we wanted to respond to. By using Conversocial, an agent is able to disposition and archive an interaction, so it's no longer visible in their workflow. Most importantly, we're able to build prioritization for what tweets or Facebook posts we want to respond to most urgently. It's a great technology that allows us as a leadership team at the beginning of the day to come in and say, actually this happened when I was recently visiting you guys out in New York. I woke up one morning, we looked at our ops, and realized that we had a spike. We were going to try to put some more bodies in there, make sure we had all of our volume taken care of. I was able to go to our Conversocial ops and know exactly how many tweets and Facebook posts I had to get through that morning to make sure that all those customers were covered. And I don't get that on other platforms like Hootsuite. I get an ability to move through it, but I don't get an ability to forecast and plan and work it into our regular logistics. Another reason that Conversocial has benefited us, as opposed to working natively or working in some other tools, is that their close relationship with some of these social media platforms. When Facebook added its reply to comment tool, I used to have to reply to the bottom of a comment thread to get to somebody who had commented further up here. Now you can just reply directly to their comment. This is huge for customer service because now we can get right back to the customer if they commented on a picture we put up on Facebook. Conversocial had that adapted into their platform with, I think it was within a day, if not 2 days of when it launched. And just that change alone, we saw a 66% increase in our Facebook interactions from that week. It allowed us to interact with that many more customers on a one-on-one level. So the fact that the workflow is organized in such a way that it's what a customer service agent is used to seeing in their day-to-day work, and that they are doing an exceptional job keeping up with the industry and social and staying ahead of a never-changing environment. Every time I turn around, my friends are complaining about new changes on Facebook. I love it because it's free, but for now. But their ability to stay ahead of the curve and know what changes are coming so they can have a fix in place has worked out really well for us. There wasn't any lag time there, so we've been happy with that. And as this continues to grow into a larger and larger part of the industry, that level of efficiency is going to be extremely helpful. So, yeah, I guess can't think of any other particular reasons, but that's why we prefer it to other options that are out there.
Perfect. So, just 2 more questions before we finish up. One person asked, do you get more questions on Facebook or Twitter? And then just the final question it'd be great for you to address is, what's next for JackThreads? Where do you see it going over the next year? How do you see social customer service changing? And then we've got a few more minutes before we finish up.
All great questions. That's interesting. We don't get as many questions on Facebook. We see more interactions happen on Twitter. I think that has more to do with the proactive search tool that we have on Twitter, so we're able to engage more people who are having conversations with others about us, whereas Facebook doesn't quite lend itself to that, where a friend's posting on a friend's wall, you should check out JackThreads. If all of a sudden we just jump into that conversation, it feels a little more like we're intruding. But since Twitter feels like much more of an open forum, there are so many more opportunities there for us to engage customers who are engaging with their friends and their followers. So right now we do see more activity on Twitter, but the Facebook is certainly growing. Like I mentioned, just a comment tool allowed us much greater reach to our customers. We're monitoring how that continues to change and grow, and the conversations tend to be a little bit different. We see more service questions in Facebook, and we see more style questions in Twitter. So we'll continue to see how it all evolves. And the bottom line for us is that our customers live there, and so we want to be there too. So we just had an article published last fall about an ad campaign we executed in Facebook. Now that we're interfaced with them, customers can log into JackThreads through Facebook. We were able to put together a really strong customer recovery campaign where we were able to target customers on Facebook. Maybe had signed up but hadn't purchased anything, make sure they saw an ad about us so they could come back and do some more shopping. We got a 500% return on that campaign, which told us customers are on Facebook, so let's be there for them. Just made a lot of sense in the granular, in that sense. In terms of the future, so much of it is going to depend on what our customers continue to do. Obviously, all of this is very exciting, and it creates great opportunities for our agents, but it all depends on whether or not our customers respond to it and continue to respond to it. We will continue to follow them wherever they go. We will find a way. Even if it looks impossible, we will find a way to reach them. So we're looking at a couple of different ways to incorporate more style into our work on social media. We'll see if Chat with Jill gets involved in that. Still having conversations about that. As far as JackThreads in and of itself, what's been really exciting for us is how we've grown from an outlet for customers looking for high-end streetwear, surfwear, contemporary gear at a really low price, rare goods, things you can't normally find online, brands that don't normally make their goods available online, certainly sometimes not even in the United States. Moving from an outlet for that to more of a tastemaker with our own private labels. Our private labels have been very successful. One of the 5 or 6 biggest sales we've ever had in the company's history was one of our private labels. They're designed specifically for our customers based on what they've purchased, so it should match what they want, ideally, and statistically it's shown that they have. So we're excited about those continuing to grow and becoming more of a tastemaker in the industry beyond just a provider, and how that's going to impact our presence on social. We want to continue to make it easier for people to get the gear that they want at the lowest price possible, and social has been a tremendous tool in doing that. So wherever we go in the future, it's going to involve that. I can promise that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, David. That's been great. Sorry we had the mic issues earlier, but thanks everyone for holding through and going through, and we had some great discussion at the end. We'll make sure all the videos and the slides are available to everyone, and we'll be sending out details on our next one very shortly. So thanks very much, guys, and have a great day.